Hello, hello, hello. Um, we are going to give folks just a second to kind of get into the room. I know some sessions just ended, so you may be grabbing water or taking a break. For the people who are here, how'd your session go? Maybe if you want to drop in the session chat, I'd love to hear how it went for you. Any aha moments, any moments of inspiration or new learnings? I'd love to see it. Let's see here. We got amazing, great, emotional, great. We got a Tony the Tiger in the chat. Great insight on family perspective of care. Shani, what all did y'all talk about? Kendra asked, said, I wish that we had more time. Well, Kendra, I'm so glad that you enjoy being a part of our community. I want to definitely, got some background noise. Thanks, Jasmine. So definitely want to encourage people to join future Intact sessions and events. If you like the vibe here today, we have this kind of vibe going on all the time, all year round. So we encourage you to please register for some of our upcoming events. When you go to the reception page, there is one of the wheels has upcoming Intact events, and there's a really cool digital booklet that has our summer events. So make sure you check that out and register for more. You don't have to leave once we're finished with the summit. We want to continue working with you. Okay, so it looks like we have quite a few people in the space, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks so much for engaging in the chat. Carol was an amazing presenter. Shout out to Carol for an amazing presentation. And I definitely want to make sure that we have our ASL interpreters here on the stage. So, Gay, I'm going to bring you on the stage now. Okay. And I am going to, for just a moment, hide Jasmine for just a second while we make a couple of announcements. And Jasmine, I'll bring you back on stage. Gay, are you there with us? Okay. Well, for those of you who would like to see the live closed captioning again, that can be found in the center of the event stage. There we go. Hi there, Gay Joiner. Hi there. Excellent. So if you're interested in the live closed captioning, right there in the center of the event page, by the three little dots, there's a CC button. You can select that button to receive or experience the summit with live closed captioning. All right, let's get us started. I want to shout out our engagement leaderboard. So it's looking like we have some new spots going on here. Cassandra in first place, Stephanie second. Melissa has been coming in hot since yesterday. Melissa's in third place and Jerica in fourth. So if you want to continue to earn more engagement points, make sure you're visiting the booths and scheduling meetings with other attendees. Also, make sure that you're filling out those current session surveys that were at the end. You get points for filling out those surveys. So engage more. As you engage more with the platform and with attendees, you can receive more points and a chance to win some awesome prizes One of those prizes is actually some virtual tea time with me. And, I think that's a pretty good prize. So thanks, Bethany. All righty. So there goes the leaderboard announcement. Also, this year, y'all, it's our first year hosting an annual System of Care Champion Award ceremony. I'm very excited to announce and congratulate the System of Care Equity Champion, Nat. Nat has done incredible work and continues to do incredible work around equity in her community. So let's give a heart, let's give some hands, let's celebrate Nat and the work that she's doing. The award ceremony will be tomorrow afternoon, immediately after Jane Singer's presentation, her closing keynote, Trauma and Healing when Working with Adults and Children, a Developmental Relational Perspective. So, right after that, we'll have the award ceremony and we can all join in and congratulate Nat. And we can also congratulate Claire. Claire is a System of Care family champion. We're so excited to celebrate her as well. So make sure you show up tomorrow. We definitely want to see you there. We can give them praise, right? And then last but not least, before I pass it over to Jasmine, I want to make sure that you all know that you can access these sessions after the summit. So next month after that, you decide, I really want to watch that again, or I missed something, I want to go back to it. All you have to do is log back into AirMeet and you can have full access to all of the recordings. So just wanted to make sure you all had that information. All right, so I need some more hearts for Bethany. Bethany, let me tell y'all, and I say y'all a lot, I'm from the South, but let me tell y'all, Bethany is amazing. I have sat in her presentations before. She gives great advice. She does an awesome job answering questions and making everyone feel welcome in the space. So please make sure that you're using the Q&A to ask Bethany questions and the chat to let her know how awesome of a job she's doing. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Jasmine, who's also awesome and amazing, and for them to get started.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to Your Story Matters, the Diary of a Schizophrenic session. Our presenter today, as you all heard, is Bethany Boik. Bethany is passionate about promoting awareness and decreasing the stigma associated with mental illness. Bethany does multimedia art and is the new author of newly released book, Diary of a Schizophrenic. Today, we ask for a little grace due to Bethany. The effects of Bethany's mental illness. It's helpful for her to use written prompts. Bethany may look away from the screen and use paper or, whatever for assistance. So we want to thank you in advance for that. So without further ado, I will go ahead and pass it over to Bethany.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. I'm so excited to present today. I am so privileged and honored to be here, and I just wanted to let everyone know how happy I am. Thank you. A little bit more information about me. I'm from Redford, Michigan, and I became interested in mental health when I was younger, a youth and young adult in the system of care myself, and I realized that a lot of change needed to happen. And so when I was a teenager, about 18, 19 years old, I became a part of a Wayne County initiative in Michigan called Youth United. And Youth United taught me a lot of things about mental illness, advocacy, leadership skills, and many other skills that I needed to grow and learn. With Youth United, I attended college and I got my degree in behavioral sciences at the University of Michigan, Dearborn. It was an amazing adventure, and I'm very thankful for that experience. This is what we will be talking about today. So I'm going to go through a resource that is very important and near and dear to me called 988. I will also read 2 poems from my book, The Diary of a Schizophrenic. I will share artwork with you from my book. I will talk about my mental health journey. There will be closing statements, and at the end, we will have questions. Resources like 988 are the new number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. They're pivotal in helping us all get through tough times of crisis where we need a lending ear. These resources are crucial for people like me, someone living with several severe mental illnesses. As you will hear in my book, The Diary of a Schizophrenic, you will see the story of me, Bethany Boik, ages 13 to 31, of growing up with schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type. You will see in paintings an emotional journey of my life, experiences through abstract art. Hear my struggles with psychosis, such as visual and auditory hallucinations, as well as feel the deep depressive and expansive manic episodes I dwell in. Listen as I talk about how I dealt with suicidal ideations and psychotic symptoms in order to survive. Finally, learn how I walk alongside my illness now and use art and writing to cope and move forward in my life in the future. So what is 988? "988 is a crisis line that can help with anything from depression, anxiety, self-harm, eating disorders, dating violence, and to suicidal thoughts. Anyone can call the crisis line to get free 24-hour help. Trained counselors answer each call and are dedicated to giving you the assistance you need. It can be hard to reach out for help, but remember it shows incredible strength beyond measure to seek help in times of crisis. You are standing up for yourself and taking charge of life by getting the help that you deserve and need. You are advocating and being the most incredible voice of change agent for yourself in your life by picking up the phone or texting. There is no problem that we can't solve by reaching out to get help together. Sometimes we can't change other people. Well, we can't change other people, and sometimes we can't change the situations we are in at the time, but we can change how we interact and respond to them. I hope every person hearing this presentation knows they have the power to get the help they deserve. 988 is a crisis number to call for any time of great personal need. When you or a loved one or anyone you care about or needs 24-hour support, call 988. They can end up saving a life. Spread the word. You never know whose life you might save. Like I mentioned earlier, my name is Bethany Boik, and I'm the author of the book Diary of a Schizophrenic. In my book, I talk about my battle with schizoaffective disorder, a form of schizophrenia, as well as several other mental illnesses, anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, insomnia, and attention deficit disorder. In the beginning of the book, a poem is introduced about schizophrenia. It talks about the meaning of the word schizophrenic. The poem is actually more of a statement than anything, an exclamation of sorts. It's called I'm Not a Schizophrenic. I'm not a schizophrenic, so please don't call me one. I'm a person who lives with schizophrenia. A person who is accustomed to living with an invisible disease that no one sees till I'm out there falling on my knees. I need God. I need hope, because this illness is no joke. 7. My lucky number is the medications I take on the daily. You see, I'm just trying to live, and that's not me crying. It's me talking to God on nights I'm around. I might just go crazy. I might end up losing Bethany. Bethany is me, my personhood. And that's the most out of control powerlessness feeling a person can have. And I'm not trying to drag you down with me. I just need someone to come and save me. Because it's not safe to lose control alone. Because I might just end up dead. But I choose to not be a statistic. I will be a success story. I'm not a schizophrenic, so please don't call me one. I'm a person who lives with schizophrenia. A person who is accustomed to living with an invisible disease that no one sees, so I'm out there falling on my knees. It's hard when your brain is cracked to pieces and your thoughts are swirling around. No one sees you struggling till it's too late. And your brain is scrambled half to death. I'm trying to give you a picture of a hell on earth diagnosis, a cracked and damaged brain, looking to kill me like a shark in the ocean eating its prey. Yes, I pray to God who talks to me on occasion like the man on the street corner. I just want solitude. The only differences between me and the guy on the corner of the block is I have access to medication. I have shelter, And I take all 7 of my psychotropic medications on the daily. If I didn't, I'd be dead. With nothing left to bother me in my head. That's where my thoughts get gritty, and my illness sinks its teeth in. It haunts me and paralyzes me with fear. Some days I can't leave the house because it feels like people are watching me. Under my covers is the only safe place I have. Sleep is the only rest I get. I feel anxious every minute I'm awake, and I'm ready to explode from the inside out. The pressure is so bad my chest tightens for days and days and days and days. I can't breathe. I suffocate with fear. So what do I do when the monsters are near? I'm not a schizophrenic, so please don't call me one. First and foremost, so get that right before you say it wrong, I'm a human being with feelings, so please, please, please don't take this poem wrong. The word schizophrenic has a negative connotations associated with it. I titled my book this way. I wanted to get people's attention. I wrote this poem to be the first thing people see when they read it in the book, so they get an introduction into my life as well as an educational lesson on the word schizophrenic, so they would see the stigma associated with it. While looking up the definition of stigma, you will see that stigma is a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. There is a heavy amount of stigma associated with schizophrenia, and I hope by telling my story, people will be more empathetic and less judgmental in regards to this devastating illness. This is a painting in my book that I made in art therapy called I Am Psychosis. It shows the trauma of the brain disease of schizoaffective disorder. The red paint is pain. The blue is tears like an ocean. The black is the depression associated with the illness, and the yellow is the chaos underneath. I made this painting in art therapy group. This group taught me how art can help me understand my illness and my emotions better. It changed my life. Art continues to help me grow as a person and move forward in many directions. This painting is very special to me because it depicts what it was like during a particular episode when I felt like I didn't have much contact with reality itself. So I felt like I was my psychosis. The hallucinations were so strong, were so deep and entrenched within my being that I felt like I had no contact with reality. And by painting this with the red and the blue and the colors, I got out emotions that I couldn't express at the time through talking. So art gave me a way to move forward and heal that I didn't have in any other way. So this painting is very, very, very special. So what is my story? My mental health journey started out with symptoms of depression, anxiety, and insomnia. I was 13 years old when these insidious feelings and byproducts of mental illness decided to show themselves. One night of no sleep led to many sleepless nights, where I tossed and turned unable to sleep. I then started to perform poorly in school. I was an AB student that started to slip into a CD student and felt like a failure. I felt hopeless. I ended up attempting suicide in secret and was instantly overwhelmed when I didn't die, due to the fact that I had a near-death experience at age 13 when this all started. Afterwards, I became even worse. I no longer cared about my friends, my appearance, I hardly showered, and one day hit a breaking point where in a science class, I bashed my head against the lab table after almost failing a test in order to knock myself unconscious. This didn't work, however. My teacher stated that I was being dramatic and he was calling the principal's office to get me help. This made the class laugh, made me more angry, it made me hurt and scared. The staff then came down from the office and ended up escorting me to the guidance center in a wheelchair, where a knot grew on my head and my mom came to pick me up. My principal told my mother she needed to get me psychological help, which she didn't think I needed before, or I couldn't return to school and Child Protective Services would be called. Thus, I ended up seeing a psychiatrist and was placed on 3 medications. These medications, however, didn't help, and the doctor added a 4th. The additional medication caused an effect where I ended up being hospitalized for 7 days in a children's mental hospital. Or it was a regular hospital, I'm sorry. My mom didn't want me on medication after that, so we stopped medication, but I went to therapy. Therapy wasn't the greatest due to insurance problems and the therapist not believing or listening to me when I told them important life experiences, causing me to not speak up about these or other events in the future for many years. The summer I turned 14, things turned even worse. I was no longer on medication, and I became paranoid. I wouldn't leave my house. I was afraid to even go to the mailbox. I thought people could read my thoughts. I was petrified all the time. I didn't trust anyone except my grandma. I stayed in my basement, although my bedroom was upstairs, and was afraid to use the bathroom. I thought the government was tracking me. I didn't know what to do. I was terrified to leave my basement and hardly took care of my hygiene. I didn't talk to my friends at all this time. I felt as if I had no control of my thoughts. For the first time, I had an episode of hearing voices. I heard my name being called over and over and over and over for hours and hours and hours. I was horrified. I felt so alone. I was lost and I was scared. I called my therapist at the time, and she did not console me. She thought I was lying and laughed at me while saying I could possibly have bipolar disorder. Finally, my grandma contacted my mom and got her to take me back to the psychiatrist, where I was put on an antipsychotic medication. This is a poem to give you an insight of what it feels like for me to go through psychosis, which is auditory and visual hallucinations, seeing and hearing things that aren't in reality. This poem is called Bugs. Spiders and bugs crawl into my ears at night. They lay eggs, then start a fight. These creepy crawlers dig burrows throughout my body, killing every beautiful thing in sight till there's no light. They laugh at my hopes and dreams until they leave me with nothing. I scream, I cry, I deny. I wish my 13-year-old self didn't die. I'm almost sure it was the rats that ate her. Anyway, she's dead, and no longer is she in my head. So I need to shut it up, let her rest in peace. God, can't you see I'm suffering? These creatures eat throughout my bones and brain. That is when I feel the pain. Dear God, it's me again. I'm in so much pain. Please take it away. I pray as I go down the rabbit hole. I pull the remains of myself together. I use crazy glue to try to paste the insides of my body in place. Oh God, please don't let me be a disgrace. These bugs are cruel, mixed with depression and psychosis as fuel. All I can do is wait. I set up ant traps and sticky tape, all within my body to begin to trap these life-altering insects. I'll even start to fumigate. I see a rat run across my feet. I don't know what to think. I blink. He's gone. He's dead. Oh no, that rat is chewing on the inside of my head, gnawing on my brain, infiltrating an area that makes me go insane. This rat is the psychotic feature of my psychosis, stealing my reality if it were a piece of cheese. I fall to my knees. God, oh please, make it stop. Don't let fear and anxiety knock me off my block. Fill my body with antipsychotics. This pill better work better than that hooked on phonics. I pray to you. Do I get a reply? God, please, rat, please don't go for my eye. I start to see red. Please don't leave me for dead. This rat is real hungry. It gnaws at the core of my being, but now I'm seeing the rat for what it really is, a hallucination. So let's make that provocation. Please rise and pray with me. Go away, rat. Go away, rat. I'm kicking you out of my head. Oops, now you're dead. You have no control over me. As you can see, I'm finally happy and healthy. Something I strive for each and every single day. Now I bow my head and say hello to the new me. Let's hold hands. Let's pray. That rat is finally gone, dead, out of my head, maybe a day or two. Hopefully, I'll get some rest from that hallucination so I can enjoy life and pray for a miracle. A silent day and night to recharge, to put up with the next fight. I'll end those bugs right. This poem shows how psychosis impacts my everyday life and how hallucinations drastically flow throughout my day. Medication can help, but even with it, I still deal with these symptoms. This is a picture of my schizophrenia. It's entitled War. This picture shows the battle I go through on a daily basis to live with my mental illnesses. It shows the fighting and the strokes of paint and the pain in the colors. This painting I did in art therapy, and it gave me a sense of getting something out of my system about the struggle I deal with, of the battle it takes to go through hallucinations and fight back. Because every day I'm fighting. And the strokes I did with the black paint is the fight. It's the scene. It's everything that I do each day to go and get through the day and survive and thrive. Back to my story. In high school around age 14, the medication I was put on was very strong but helpful. I was able to go to band camp and attend school in the fall, but was heavily sedated. I slept most of the day, and at times drooled on myself in my desk. This was entirely embarrassing. It was a horrible experience. I wasn't myself, but I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't Bethany. I lost parts of my personal traits of who I was due to the sedation. But being on the medication was a double-edged sword. I then tried other antipsychotics. I was put on and off many different medications with different doctors throughout high school and college and beyond. Over 35 in my life, to be exact. I couldn't find a medication to control my depression, or a medication that didn't cause me to have severe sedation, or one that didn't cause tardive dyskinesia symptoms. This means involuntary body movements or inner restlessness, which happened in my cases. Therefore, I was on and off many different medications for many years. I was labeled medication resistant 2 times. But I didn't let those doctors' labels define me and found new ones. I eventually moved during my junior year of high school and changed schools. I didn't fit in due to the fact that I didn't have the right clothes and was lower income. I got bullied a bit and decided to focus on my grades instead of social activities. I ended up getting great grades my junior and senior year of high school and attended advanced placement classes and accepted into the University of Michigan Dearborn. College was a difficult time for me. I loved the experience. I enjoyed school. I love learning, but I had many cognitive difficulties because of my mental health. I suffered immensely at this time. I was in and out of psychosis, hearing voices, commenting on what I was doing, saying horrible things about me, to me. I was suicidal at some points. I was paranoid. At times I was afraid to go to work and school, but somehow forced myself to get by through reality checking, looking at the situation and seeing what's true and what's not. During this period, I went to crisis centers over 14 times. Ironically, I was somehow able to thrive in certain areas. I pushed myself to be the best I could be and to be successful in my greatest moments of suffering. In 2009, I presented undergraduate anthropological research at the Meeting of the Minds. And in 2011, I worked under the Wayne County Mental Health Authority, presenting information on youth involvement at a National Children's Mental Health Conference in Florida. Later in 2012, I received an Excellence in Leadership Award for my job at Youth United, where I worked as a youth advocate in a child advocacy center. I was determined to be successful. I wanted to get my degree in behavioral sciences and eventually become a social worker. My dream was to eventually write a book about my life. I obtained my bachelor's degree in 2013, but I could no longer continue my education to get my master's degree or work due to my mental health. Somehow I survived college. I went through multiple jobs in the nonprofit field, having to quit most or asked to leave by one due to my health. Graduating but failing to hold a job afterwards due to multiple hospitalizations and other forms of suffering. I've had terrible hospitalizations, but I'm thankful that I had a place to go. I've had many traumatic experiences at hospitals that caused me to seek trauma-focused therapy afterwards. At one such hospital stay, I was sexually harassed by 2 patients and medically neglected at another one. I reported both incidents, but emotional damage is something that makes an imprint on you. During my worst psychotic moments, I had command hallucinations tell me to kill myself. I saw visual hallucinations of me hurting myself. This happened from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep for a year and a half. Nothing relieved its symptoms. I tried partial hospitalization programs and ended up getting sent back to the hospital. Things just didn't click. At one point, I started to lose weight quickly. When I was 22, I got down to 109 pounds. I'm almost 5'7", which my doctors didn't think was bad, but mostly praised, even though I wasn't really overweight to begin with, about 155 pounds. I hardly ate. I was afraid to leave my bedroom. I was afraid to make food in the kitchen due to my fear of paranoid ideations. I thought people were watching me outside of windows, and I shared a house with others. I couldn't keep the other blinds closed in the house. I could only keep the blinds in my room closed. So I was afraid to go anywhere else in the house. None of my doctors bothered to ask how or why I lost weight so quickly. Now I'm overweight due to medication side effects, and my doctors are a lot quicker to say something. In the past, I became very uncomfortable everywhere I went. I was scared of talking to people. I fumbled over my speech. I hallucinated that other people were talking about me, saying things like they were hearing what I was thinking and that I was a bad person. I stumbled when I walked due to all the noise in my head. My life was in shambles. Hearing voices comment on what you are doing is tiresome and can make a person feel anxious and emotionally distraught all the time. During this period, when I was hearing negative comments, they usually consisted of saying things about how I looked, how I conducted my behavior, and virtually everything I did during my day. I was disheartened. The voices told me I was dirty, that I shouldn't do certain activities, or engage in conversations with others because my friends did not like me, and commented on my body movements, make it hard to simply get up, stand, or walk, telling me that I looked odd or that I was walking and moving incorrectly. I had multiple panic attacks throughout the day and could not function. Therefore, I ended up applying for disability after going to a community mental health agency and being told disability might be a good idea because I wasn't able to work. I was denied the first time, so I got a disability lawyer that visited the community mental health center I went to. I got it the second time. Currently, I'm on 7 medications for psychiatric reasons, but recently wrote a book that started off as a diary at age 13 called Diary of a Schizophrenic. This book is not just a diary, it's an art anthology that I made through painting my experiences out in abstract art forms to explore my personal pain and other emotions. I am proud of myself because of this book, but I still deal with many symptoms of schizoaffective disorder bipolar type, a form of schizophrenia, because not only do people like myself deal with things like hallucinations, but we can also have severe anxiety, memory loss, and other cognitive problems from this illness. But yet I know I have achieved something. The medications I now take help, but they don't take every symptom away. I have struggles every day. Therapy helps me deal with the debilitating aspects of my illness and the stress associated with it, but has stolen quite a bit of time from me. I used to get angry about all the time stolen from me and things that I couldn't control, but therapy, especially trauma therapy, which I go to, has taught me all the things I can control, and it helped me take my life back because mental illness makes a person feel sometimes like they're not able to live comfortably and fulfill their life. And it takes a lot of things from you, like time. Time is something you can't get back. However, I've learned to reframe my thinking. And in reframing my thinking, I've come to the realization that it hasn't stolen me. I always have Bethany. I will always be there for myself. Bethany's not going away. I'm not going away. I can stand up for myself and I can fight against my mental illness and I can survive and thrive. And that's something that I am grateful for. Trauma therapy has taught me what I do have control of in my life. Although I can't control when I have an episode or how my symptoms look each day, I can control what I eat for breakfast, how I style my hair, and most importantly, how I respond to other people and situations. We have more control than we think. It's how we reframe and look at events in our lives that matter. Sometimes we have to adjust the picture and step back and see what is really going on. Today, I'm learning that many people, social workers, and doctors have helped me in my recovery, but some have fallen short. My current psychiatrist is an incredible individual who saved my life by finding the right antipsychotic medication and listening to me continuously, never giving up on me. My current trauma/art therapist has changed my life for the better, teaching me how art can heal and help in recovery of mental health. I want to say that I will never let schizoaffective disorder overtake me, but instead continue to live alongside this brain disease. Today, I know I'm not going to be a statistic of a devastating illness, but a thriver in my story. And I hope that all people listening to this presentation know that you are your shining star of your story, and your story matters, and that everyone's story matters, because I feel like we are all human beings and we're here to help each other, and we need to be more acknowledging of the fact that everyone has a story associated with us, and we all have the power to help everyone else and everyone else out. So by telling our story and listening to my story, I hope that you get a better understanding of what mental illness is. I encourage everyone to do whatever is in their power to preserve their story. Whether it be writing them down or using a tape recorder or electronic device to speak out, to tell your story, being able to recount or retell different parts of your life, even if it's just for yourself, as a way of preserving memories can be life-changing. Writing or retelling your story and talking about your emotions associated with certain events can be healing, as it is an outlet to express and connect with oneself in a meaningful way. Art can also be a great tool in helping to tell your story and express feelings. At times, we might not have the words to express an event or story, but we have feelings associated with it. Painting for me was and is a great outlet to get parts of my stories across. If painting isn't your thing, you can use clay and mold figures into abstract forms associated with emotions. If you need something economical, you can go outside and use elements of nature like branches or leaves and found objects that might otherwise have been discarded and turn it into art projects. You can use newspaper, you can use paper towel rolls, you can use old gift bags, anything laying around the house. If you use your imagination, virtually anything can be an art project, as long as it's not a dangerous material and is safe. Remember, art can be anything that is created, so everyone essentially is an artist. You just have to make the first step. So don't be afraid to create. You don't have to show anyone your creations if you don't want to. Remember, these are to tell your story. And as I said before, your story matters. Always remember that. Your life is important, and your life matters. You are the only person that can live your story. Therefore, if you need help, especially in a crisis, please reach out to the resource that I talked about in the beginning of the presentation and text or call 988. Remember, 988 is a free 24-hour, every day of the year helpline. In the end, if you can take anything from my presentation and my story, I hope you can remember that stories matter. And as I discussed earlier in the poem, I'm not a schizophrenic. Stigma is a false belief and way of thinking that our society needs to be more conscious of and contributing towards. Please let others know that mental illness is not a choice. Mental illness is a biological brain disease, and people with mental illnesses should not be stereotyped or judged biasly because of this brain disease. In fact, no one should be stereotyped and judged biasly for any reason. I want to remind everyone that my name is Bethany Boik, and I live with a brain disease, a mental illness called schizophrenia. However, I am not a schizophrenic. Thank you for listening. I'm honored and privileged to have you hear my story. If you are interested in learning more about me and my story, you can find my book online by Googling it, Diary of a Schizophrenic by Bethany Boik.
Thank you so much for that, Bethany. I love to hear your story so much. But with that being said, we have a few questions in the chat, and we actually have Stephanie who wants to join you on stage to ask
Great.
yourself. So Ashley, would you mind bringing Stephanie to the stage for us? Ashley's working on it. She's doing her tech magic. righty. So I'll go ahead and just read the question out of the chat. Oh, there we go. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome to the conversation.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, Bethany.
Hi, thank you, Stephanie.
Well, thank you. You actually reminded me that I need to return to art to tell my own stories, and thank you for giving me some courage to do that. My question specifically in the chat is, it sounds like you became a young advocate and something drew you to that. And I was wondering, from your experience, what was positive part about it, that something about the environment, interactions, and how can we learn from that to do a better job engaging youth?
I was in the mental health system. As you heard, I started off at age 13 in the system, and I realized that I needed to do something different. And because there were a lot of things I was seeing in my own care that I wanted to change. And so there was a program through Youth United. It was a Wayne County initiative that I got to partake in. And it taught me that I could use my lived experience to share my story and help other youth and young adults in the community in Wayne County, Detroit, and everywhere around Wayne County area. And we did a lot of engagement, youth groups, and talked a lot about advocacy and leadership. And it empowered me. So I was, not only was I hired because of certain like I went to the interview and everything, but it was like my own lived experience could possibly contribute to something greater. And that made me feel so good because all this pain I had experienced could actually be propelled into something positive. And to me, that gave me hope, and it gave me a purpose because the pain had a purpose. And I felt like in life, sometimes we feel like we get put in these desperate situations. And if I could use the pain and help others with my story, I could use that to do something greater. And I did different advocacy. I worked in a kids talk center for kids suspected of being abused. And I was really fortunate to get to help with some of the activities there and did some outreach as well. And I learned a lot about mandated reporting and things about neglect. And it taught me so many skills that made me feel like I was helping others in a way that I didn't think I could do because of my situation prior. And I wanted to go to college, and I was in college, but it gave me a purpose, and it gave me a sense of responsibility and a sense of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helped.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, Bethany. Our next question comes from Kara. Before we invite you into the conversation, we have a couple of other questions from folks in the chat box. Please respond to me in the chat if you would like to come on stage and talk to Bethany a little bit yourself. And Kara, welcome to the conversation.
Hi, Bethany. Thank you so much. You moved me to tears hearing your poetry. I oversee a mental health community-based program on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And we recently started an arts program where we are bringing in an artist to our program. And my question is, how can we get youth and young adults that we work with in our community to value arts as part of their healing process? We often run into resistance to doing the poetry, the music, the visual arts. Once they do it, it's complete buy-in, but it's getting to that place.
Yep. Yep. I completely understand. It's scary because you have to be vulnerable. And I think being vulnerable is very, very scary because you're showing people a side of you that is intimate. So I think that in order to bring people out to get like an art group, I think showing people like maybe an event where put on by an artist, like an art exhibit or like a poetry presentation by poets where they can see other people perform, and then maybe like there's an incentive to come, like there's free food or there's like, you know, free giveaway and prize, and get people to like come to the event, because you have to have youth involvement, youth engagement. So people, you know, you need free food, you need some type of prize, you need something, because, you know, kids need to get out for a reason. And then you have to show them the importance of it. So if you have like someone performing and they're like rocking it and they're doing a great job and they're just having so good of a time, and then someone's like, hey, that looks really cool, like I want to do that, like that looks really neat, you know, you have to show people though sometimes, because it can be really scary, like just coming out yourself to something you've never done before. And I think that's like a number one key. If you can't do something like that, I think a good idea would be doing something where you introduce art in a way that is non-threatening. So it's more like, you know, everyone can create something. And the purpose of this group is to show that, you know, being creative can help heal in an important way that maybe talking in therapy just can't. Because sometimes just talking is something that's vulnerable too. It's very vulnerable. But you can't express yourself all the time through words. And so art in itself is a way to use when words don't work. So maybe words don't work would be something that to talk about. You know, when you can't express your emotions all the time and you need a way to do that, art is the key to doing that. And I think if you talk to youth and you're like, hey, you know, it's kind of, you know, we have this group coming up, you know, it's exclusive, and we're trying to get a few, you know, some people involved, and you know, try to jazz it up, and you know, and just be like very honest and open, and be like, this is really beneficial and can really help in a way that just therapy isn't always gonna cut it. And you know, art can be intimidating, but it heals. And you know, maybe if you find something like a poem or a small paragraph that talks about art in a healing way that's non-threatening, that's teenager friendly, that someone writes, like another youth writes or someone, and they present it, you present it in a way that this was someone who has done art before that was helped by it, and you might be able to do something that way.
Thank you, Bethany. I so appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks, Bethany. We have a couple more questions in the chat. One comes from Suki, who says, you said every day you were fighting. What helped keep you going and moving forward? What, if any, aspects of the mental health system were most helpful and supportive for you?
Okay. So, one thing that I have to say about our mental health system is that there are certain people that do more effort, that put in more effort when they help youth or anyone, any population of people. And there are some that don't put in the effort. I've met a lot of people that don't put in the effort, and I put in a few people that do put in the effort. It's the people that make the programs, and their resilience and their honor, the sacrifice they make to work in the programs themselves and to be workers, that made my service possible. because I had terrible experiences. But the people themselves that actually gave me the most help, the programs that I got the most out of, were from individual staff that worked hard and related to me and told me that I mattered, because I felt like I did not matter. I felt like I was a number, that I was just coming in, and that my care meant nothing. And because I had so many negative experiences. So when I had someone tell me that I mattered and that my life was important, it changed the way I viewed myself and my treatment, how I received my treatment. Because never before that did I think I mattered. I was suicidal for many years, and no one told me I mattered. And I didn't get that from most people. And my experiences growing up were somewhat traumatic in a lot of regards. I had a caring adult in my life, but there was a lot of negativity. So when someone tells you that you matter and that your life matters and they're going to help you, and they do it and they follow through, when they follow through on their actions and you can trust them, that is so beneficial. Because so many people, when you have these kids coming from traumatized households that have mental illness, and you have staff that are not giving you the help that you need and they're not following through with their promises, you get distrust. So when you get a staff member that you can rely on, that comes to all the counseling sessions, that doesn't cancel on you, that gives you resources, that checks the homework they assign you, that gives you homework to assign you, and tells you things to work on during sessions, and tells you that, Bethany, I am so glad that you came here today. Bethany, I am so glad you finished the assignment that I gave you, and encourages you to dream big and ask you about your future. When not one person asks you about your future or your goals or your beliefs, you don't have any. When people put in your head that you can do anything you set your mind to, even with a mental illness, even with a disability, you are so much more likely to be successful. I kept going because I found people that pushed me further. And that made me stronger. I kept going because the resilience I gained from certain aspects of my care and jobs. When I was in Youth United, I was mentored by two individuals, and they made me feel like my story was important when they heard my story. And for the first time, I felt like, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. And that really changed my whole ideal. But before that, not at all. Not at all. So it's the individuals that you employ at mental health agencies, at centers. It's their personal strengths and what they do to get people the help that they need.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Bethany. We are running a little low on time. There's still a couple of questions in the question box that if you have a chance, Bethany, please take a look at.
Okay.
But I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Ashley to introduce Yin.
Hey there. I'm telling you, I can sit here and listen to Bethany all day. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Um, we again are providing notes, like I said earlier, with the graphic illustration. So if you're new to this part of the keynote and you want to see all of the graphic illustration in the top right hand corner of the of your screen of this session, there are 4 arrows that are going in 4 different directions. You click on that arrow or that button, and it will expand your page so you can see the notes from Bethany. And I'm just going to be quiet so we can kind of take in all of the wonderful things that Bethany just shared. Lots of hearts are going up for you, Bethany. Fantastic, wonderful, wonderful, fantastic. Like I said, we have a good vibe over here at Intact, y'all. Bethany gave a presentation a couple of months ago, and she got a similar response. And Bethany, I know we'll be continuing to work with you. And for all my folks keeping up with your engagement points, we are giving away her book, Diary of a Schizophrenic, as a part of the prize basket. So you can get one of her books. I mean, you can go and order it, but we can give it to you. So make sure you engage on the platform, engage with other attendees so you get the opportunity and the chance to win her awesome and incredible book. Okay, now we're going to move over to the networking phase of our day. I hope y'all are still feeling good. If you're still here with me, can you just drop in the chat again? I'm still here with you, Ashley. Just let me know. I hope, you're still here. You're still feeling the vibes. Let me know how you're feeling. And I see some chat claps and some happiness and some good things. I'm glad you're still here because guess what? We have some more incredible, when I say phenomenal, y'all, these 3 young men are certified peer support specialists across different places across the nation. They have lived experience with the juvenile injustice system, and they are now giving back to their community. And they are right now at this moment at the networking lounge. And that space is really informal. It's built for you to ask them questions, they can tell you more about their story, what peer support looks like in their part of the world. It's all for you to have conversation. Now, a couple of quick things about the networking lounge. The lounge, it has like 4 or maybe 6 chairs around the table, and it may seem like, how are we all going to fit there? There's like 300 of us here. Each table can accommodate 125 people. So don't let the number of chairs fool you. There's plenty of space at the table to join Muhammad. He's talking on the subject From the Mud. He also has a book by that title. Tyus is going to share about peer support with incarcerated youth, and Joshua, his table will be about if you can see it, you can be it. So I hope that you all still have the energy. I see Belinda is still here with me. Jessica is here with a heart. So we got some people that are here in the room and ready to network with Muhammad, Tyus, and Joshua. And then even after that, if you still got some energy, because I know I got some energetic folks in the room, if you still have energy, we are going to have the collaboration station. For people who were with us at the training yesterday, you know that the collaboration station is a place where you can kind of like, imagine if we were actually in a conference hotel and you're kind of like walking down the hall, you're grabbing some popcorn or water, you just kind of bump into somebody, right? And oh, hey, you're from South Carolina, me too. This is what this space is kind of like. You can use your keyboard arrows to move yourself around the room and talk to folks. Now, there are circles in that room, so maybe if you're a peer support provider and you want to talk to other peer support providers, you can using the keyboard, move yourself to that space and chat with folks. But first up, like I said, Muhammad, Tyus, Joshua, they're in the networking lounge. To get to the networking lounge, remember on the reception page, there is a wheel that says networking lounge featuring peer support specialists. Now, for some folks, you may have to refresh your screen so that that hyperlink shows up. So if there's nothing clicking, don't worry, just refresh your screen and then click that hyperlink. It'll take you to the lounge, and then you can join a table with one of our 3 speakers. So I will see you all over there. If you get lost virtually, just let me, Carrie, or Yasmina know. Tracy is here as well, and we can point you in the right direction. All right. See you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Bethany. Thanks, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Thank you.